We have a few questions here that have come in during the last 15 minutes or so, so I'm just going to go through a couple of these. Let's start with what I think is actually very topical, which is how is CAS managed? Like, what's involved in keeping it active, current, effective, etc.?
Yeah, great question. It is managed through a cloud portal. Those of you that are on the call that are familiar with SonicWALL, we have a website that's cloud.sonicwall.com. It's like the single pane of glass to manage all of our products, really, but CAS is a tile within that, and you can navigate to the specific instance from there. And then it's managed via cloud, like a cloud interface. And to keep it current, it's just an annual license key. It can be bought in multi-year SKUs, obviously, but you just buy it based on the number of protected mailboxes that you want to have on your network. So you could have 100 users and only want to protect 50 because maybe they're critical or they're named, and you could just buy a 50 pack. So you don't have to do all or nothing, but yeah, you buy the number of users you want to protect and you deploy the solution like I mentioned earlier.
Awesome. Okay, I have a question here, which is, and I'm going to read it verbatim. How is this implemented for the client? Is the traffic inspected at the firewall, or is there an endpoint agent?
No, great question. I get it a lot. We probably glazed over it because this will be a good reason to attend that fast track event. I'll plug it again for Tom because we'll go into how it's inspected. This is a product completely separate from firewall. You could be a non-SonicWALL firewall customer and still leverage the power of CAS. So CAS is its own solution that lives in the cloud. It's API driven. It's tied directly in with the protected product. So if it's Office 365 Mail, for example, it's just essentially in a way side by side through some API hooks that will allow you to do inspection. So nothing on the firewall that has to be configured. It doesn't redirect your mail. It's inspecting it when it's in Office 365. So if people on this call are familiar with like traditional email inspection where you redirect an MX record and a mail routes through a different portal, it's not like that either. It kind of replaces or is an easier to configure and set up version of that where we're just side by side with it. So nothing on the endpoint, nothing on the firewall. It's strictly in the cloud infrastructure.
Gotcha. Okay. Another question, is licensing for CAS, is it on a per app basis? Is it a user basis? Is it organization? What does that look like?
Yep, it's per user. So per protected email address, we'll use as an example, but it's per protected user, less thumbs, if you will. And we have two licenses. One's a basic license, one's an advanced. The difference is basic is a less expensive option, obviously, and it's specifically for protecting mail applications. So whether that be Office 365 Mail or G Suite, the advanced license covers all protected products. And so for a full list of those, shoot Tom an email, he can send you the data sheet, but it's like Dropbox, Box, SharePoint, OneDrive, Office 365 Mail, Google Mail. So there's like 9 applications. But so advanced license covers all of those. It's a single per user, and basic license is just the mail piece.
I got a question here. I'm going to ask it in my own words, just to cover 2 questions that we have. CAS, as it compares to its competition, what are some other people putting out there? Someone is specifically calling out against Palo Alto. How does the SonicWALL solution compare?
Yeah, as an advocate for SonicWALL, it's the best solution on the market. No one else compares. We have data that can back that up. But in reality, security as a whole is an interesting area, right? No one never claims to be 100% effective. There's a lot of third-party validation and testing, and certainly we have reports that we could share with you guys to show some of that. The big one is NetSec Open, if you've looked at that. Area that SonicWALL is extremely efficient in is cost like per protected megabyte or cost per protected user, that type of metric. We're extremely cost efficient and cost effective to get them the same level of protection. So let's just pretend that they're equivalent, because for more or less we might be. You're going to get a better cost per protected customer. So economically, especially in today's times when budgets are tight and people are looking at ways to potentially save some revenue, this is an area where we can be extremely efficient. The last thing I'll mention is we have a technology, I'll plug it here, it's called RTDMI, Real-Time Deep Memory Inspection. That is something that we have that's patented. No one else has it, and it inspects malicious activity at the memory level. So that's an area where we find stuff. I think the most recent stuff's like 122 new things per day that the other vendors aren't. So that'll be my sales piece of like how we're better, but really use those NetSec open verifications and you can see the exact effectiveness.
I like that answer. It's legit. Like, don't take my word for it. See what everybody else has to say. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We got a good question here, and this is one that I know I had earlier. Can you monitor cloud apps that aren't corporate? For example, if I don't have a corporate Dropbox account, but employees are using that individually, can CAS monitor those things?
It is designed to work with the business version of the application. So like if you have a Gmail account or something, no. We do have a concept of doing like shadow IT detection. So the concept of like, we as an enterprise use Google Drive. Let me just use an example. We use Google Drive. I want to know if other users are using other file shares so I can kind of help quell that and get people onto Google Drive. So we have the ability to manage and monitor non-approved applications, but ultimately without the ability to interface with the admin credentials, you're not going to gain that visibility. So the quick answer is no, we're not going to inspect the specific user account, but we can at least give the customer or you guys, the partner, the visibility to go, 90% of your users are using Google Drive like they should. You got these 7 fringe users, which are using your corporate email address or not for Dropbox. Let's go have a conversation with them and bring them into the fold.
Okay. Let's see, any other, Cam, I think is that all the questions?
Yeah, that was the last audience question, I guess. So I'll throw this question out there just because I feel like this is kind of a natural thing. So we've talked
Sure.
CAS, we've talked licensing, all of that stuff. I like it. What do I do now?
Pretty easy. Next step is contact your Securematics inside sales rep or me directly. Everybody on this webinar should have my email address, so please feel free. But we'll get you rolling in the right direction and get you taken care of, whether it's front-end education or placing an order. Let me know where you need to go and we'll get you moving in the right direction and support you all the way through. Once again, start to finish is the standard. We want to be that distributor through and help support our partners, SonicWALL, and our downstream partners, ultimately their customers. So yeah, that's your next step is give me a call. Let's talk.